In 1494, Europe experienced the closest thing to a real-life zombie outbreak. Bro, I would cease to exist. I would not deal with that. No, girl. I don't got the energy. Italy's Renaissance period has a major, little-known dark side. Sailors returning from the New World brought with them a massive outbreak of syphilis, which spread through an entire French army. This was probably one of the first plagues, ever. The troops then brought what would become known as the Great Pox to the rest of Europe. It just kept spreading nonstop, and they had no idea what was happening. They had very little understanding of science like we do today. So imagine what we went through a couple years ago, 20 times as bad. With no such thing as antibiotics back then, they couldn't cure it. The disease was able to spread unchecked and its effects were nasty. The skin on victims' faces would essentially rot away from the disease's grisly ulcers. Ulcers? Nope. I've seen them pill popping, ulcer oozing TikToks. In some cases, the noses, lips, or other body parts of the affected people were essentially gone. They looked like zombies, and several of the victims eventually died from the disease. It was bad. So no one wanted to eat anyone, but essentially, it's like a zombie outbreak. If you committed treason against the slimy Stuarts, whoever the heck those guys are, look it up, comment below and educate me, you were hanged until you were nearly dead. Nearly. Not dead yet, just to be clear. Your organs removed while you were still alive, just hanging out there, and then you were cut into 4 pieces. Not 3, not 5, 4. They had a thing for even numbers. So yeah, fun activity for the whole family. I'm just kidding, don't do this. The Countess of Salisbury had her head chopped off, but it took 11 blows of the axe before they got it off. Well, it's no wonder her neck looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I'm sorry, but that is a big tree to chop through. I don't even know why they wanted to chop her head off, I'm sorry. I hope she actually deserved it and it wasn't because she was accused of witchcraft or something. But yeah, everyone was struggling that day to get something done. When Richard the Lionheart captured Cyprus, he made all the men on the island shave off their beards. No idea why, no context whatsoever, it's just weird. King Charles I wore 2 shirts at his execution so people wouldn't think he was shivering from fear. Bro, you about to die, who cares? In Tudor times, whatever the heck that means. Guys, remember, I didn't go to college, I'm stupid. A cook was boiled to death in a giant cauldron because he poisoned the soup. So it's you wanna mess with the soup, bro? Okay, you can be the soup. Oh, what is wrong with me? Comment below your favorite kind of soup. Mine is chicken gnocchi from Olive Garden. I could never have soup again now. In Saxon times, half of the population were dead before they were 25. Is that old Western days? Y'all remember the movie A Million Ways to Die in the West when she dumps the guy and says, people are living to be 34 these days. I want to live it to the fullest. I was like, you go, girl. You only got 10 more years left. You better do something exciting. King Tut's parents, Tut, how do you say it? Were most likely siblings. Sweet Home Alabama, what the heck? In the savage Stone Age, people would kill a bear and then rip open its stomach to eat the meal the bear had consumed before it was killed. That is the most messed up thing you can do to somebody. Imagine if that was a person and, they get their last meal before they're executed, and then after they die, it's psych, you don't get to digest and enjoy your steak and potatoes in the afterlife. We're taking that back. That is torture at its finest. Romans liked watching people killing other people for some reason. Y'all are weird. On one morning alone, 10,000 people were killed in Rome's Colosseum just for funsies. My hobbies are reading. What about you? 19th century New Englanders dug up a young woman's body because they thought she was a vampire. Okay, this is basically like the Salem witch trials, but with vampires. This is the Rhode Island accused vampire. In the late 1800s, a bout of tuberculosis, then called consumption, struck Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Vermont. and the residents had no idea what to make of it. They didn't know what was going on. Since its victims tended to look sunken, pallid, and drained, people assumed they'd fallen prey to vampires. Of course. So, naturally, a vampire hunt soon commenced. When members of an Exeter, Rhode Island family began dying of consumption one after the other townspeople decided that someone in the family must be feeding on the others. Of course. Even after the mother, Mary Brown, and her 2 daughters had died, the townspeople decided to exhume the dead bodies, suspecting that one might in fact be undead. Brown's 19-year-old daughter, Mercy, had died much more recently than her family members, so her body was in much better condition. Her heart even still contained some decayed blood, a sure sign of vampirism. What is so weird about having decayed blood in a decaying body? The math is not mathing, guys. This is what happens when you don't listen to women. But yeah, they exhumed her body, and to prevent her from striking again, they burned her heart and liver and mixed the ashes with water. They then gave the concoction of all that to another affected townsperson as a cure. Unsurprisingly, it didn't work. Dentures used to be made from the teeth of dead soldiers. Blech. I don't want Harry from the barracks' teeth. No. A king made his subjects worship the corpse of his beloved. Ugh. I feel like men have a hard time moving on from things. This case of star-crossed lovers got weird fast. It's actually kind of sad. In 14th century Portugal, the king's son, Dom Pedro, fell in love with Inez de Castro. There were only a couple of problems with this. For one, his father, King Afonso, did not approve because Inez was illegitimate. And another reason, Dom Pedro was already married. His father had arranged for him to marry a noblewoman, and when Dom Pedro refused to stop seeing this Inez, the king had her killed. But when Dom Pedro took the throne 2 years later, he exhumed her body, had it clothed in royal dress, and crowned her queen. 'Cause he's stubborn, and just to make a point to his dead father, I guess. According to historical legend, he made the other nobles all kiss her hand as a sign of their devotion. And I'm sure they all got herpes or something. But anyways, that's it for some messed up facts that are gonna haunt you at night. Sleep well. I love you. I'm sorry. Please subscribe and turn on notifications. Follow me on social media. Links are down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.